What if I told you the Bible secretly predicted Iran's next move thousands of years ago, and it involves the Black Israelites? Something is about to unfold that could shake the entire world. There's an ancient connection between the Black Israelites, Iran, and a prophecy hidden in Ezekiel and Jeremiah. But most Christians have never heard this before. Iran's rise, Israel's struggle, and the Black Israelites, three powerful forces tied together by a single prophecy that could change everything we know about the end times. Before we continue, subscribe to the Bible Stories for more shocking revelations, hidden prophecies, and biblical mysteries you won't find anywhere else. The Bible describes the descendants of Jacob, known today as the Black Israelites, scattered across nations. But prophecies in Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation suggest their role in the final events of history will be far greater than most people realize. The Bible doesn't call Iran by name, but the ancient nation of Elam and Persia in Ezekiel 38 and Jeremiah 49 refers directly to modern-day Iran. And these passages describe an event so catastrophic it could set off the greatest conflict in the Middle East history. Ezekiel 38 describes a powerful coalition of nations forming against Israel. Scholars believe Iran plays a central role in this alliance, and recent events prove the stage is being set right now. For centuries, these prophecies have been ignored, but when you compare the Bible to today's headlines, the pattern is undeniable. Iran's growing power, Israel's rising tensions, and awakening of the Black Israelites. It's all connected. Zechariah 12 warns that Jerusalem will become a burdensome stone for all nations. Iran's hostility toward Israel isn't random. It's part of a spiritual battle foretold thousands of years ago. The Bible promises in the last days, God will gather his scattered people. Some scholars believe the Black Israelites are part of this prophetic regathering, and Iran's next move could accelerate God's plan. But what if I told you the Bible may have foretold a shocking alliance involving Iran and the Black Israelites? In Ezekiel 38, a mysterious prophecy speaks of nations uniting against Israel in the last days. Among these nations is Persia, modern-day Iran. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Could the Black Israelites play a hidden role in this unfolding plan? What does Scripture really reveal? In Ezekiel 38, verse 5, Persia is listed alongside Cush and Put, regions historically linked to African descendants, many of whom are connected to the Black Israelite lineage. This isn't just random geography. It's prophetic alignment. Imagine ancient nations, separated by thousands of miles, coming together in a divine plan set thousands of years ago. What role could these descendants have in the future showdown between nations? Here's where it gets even deeper. Some historians suggest that descendants of Cush and Put, peoples with dark skin tones, might have been part of the early Black Israelite tribes dispersed after the Assyrian and Babylonian invasions. If this is true, it could explain why these regions are central to the end times prophecy involving Iran. Could the Bible be revealing a massive hidden connection we've overlooked for centuries? But wait, Iran's role in prophecy doesn't stop there. The book of Daniel hints at kings from the east rising in the last days. Could this suggest a larger coalition of nations, including modern Iran, working together in ways we can't fully see yet? And if the descendants of ancient Israel are scattered across these lands, are we looking at a family conflict unfolding on a global scale? And here's the part no one's talking about. Ancient Jewish records describe lost tribes settling in regions that align with modern-day Africa, Iran, and beyond. Could these hidden Israelites be positioned exactly where prophecy says conflict will arise? It sounds unbelievable, but when you align scripture, archaeology, and history, the puzzle starts forming a clearer picture. The prophet Jeremiah warned of nations from the north and east gathering against Israel. Today, Iran stands as one of the most powerful players in this region, and its alliances are shifting fast. But what if Iran's decisions are fulfilling ancient prophecies right before our eyes? And what if the Black Israelites, scattered across these territories, are an unseen key to understanding what happens next? In Revelation 7, God speaks of sealing 144,000 Israelites from the 12 tribes. What if many of these tribes include descendants living in regions like modern-day Iran, Ethiopia, and other parts of Africa? If true, We may be on the verge of seeing a mass awakening of these hidden Israelites, just as geopolitical tensions escalate between Iran, Israel, and the West. Some experts believe Iran's spiritual influence could be more significant than its military power. Isaiah 11 speaks of a future time when God will gather his people from Cush, Elam, and Shinar, regions surrounding modern-day Iran. Could it be that while nations focus on politics and war, God is orchestrating a much deeper plan involving the restoration of a scattered people? Consider this. Iran's growing ties with African nations mirror the biblical alliances mentioned thousands of years ago. Ezekiel 38 points to a coalition involving Persia, Cush, and Put, the same regions we see strengthening economic and military bonds today. Coincidence? Or are we witnessing Scripture come alive in real time? The Bible warns that when these nations unite, it triggers events that will shake the world. And hidden in the shadows are the descendants of the Black Israelites, whose role in prophecy has been overlooked for generations. Could it be that these forgotten tribes are central to understanding Iran's next move and the ultimate battle that's coming? But here's where things take an unexpected turn. Prophecies about the Black Israelites in the Bible aren't just about the past. They point directly to modern-day nations, including Iran. In the book of Ezekiel, there's a mysterious reference to Persia, the ancient name for Iran, being part of a coalition that rises in the last days. Could this mean that Iran will play a critical role in events involving the descendants of the Black Israelites? The Bible speaks of nations from the east preparing for a great conflict, and Iran's name appears symbolically as Persia. Scholars believe these verses may hold hidden connections to the fate of the Black Israelites. What role could Iran play in shaping their future? And why is this warning written thousands of years ago still relevant today? Isaiah 11 speaks of God gathering his scattered people from all corners of the earth, including Elam, another ancient reference tied to modern-day Iran. This prophecy suggests a dramatic return of the Black Israelites and hints at Iran's indirect role in their restoration. But here's the shocking twist. The Bible also warns of nations opposing their rise. Could Iran be a key player in this ancient spiritual battle? In Revelation, there's a mysterious mention of a river drying up to prepare the kings of the East. Many theologians believe this ties into current tensions between Israel, Iran, and surrounding nations. If true, this means the prophecy isn't about the distant past. It's happening right now. Could Iran unknowingly be fulfilling biblical predictions linked to the Black Israelites? The connection between the Black Israelites and Iran becomes even clearer when you study Ezekiel 38 and 39, the prophecy of Gog and Magog. In this scenario, Persia-Iran aligns with a powerful coalition in an end-times war against Israel. But what does this mean for the Black Israelites? Are they part of God's plan to survive this coming storm, or will they face unimaginable trials? Some historians believe the scattered Black Israelites have long been hidden among the nations, including regions near Iran and its neighboring territories. Could this be why Persia is repeatedly mentioned in prophecy? What if Iran holds ancient secrets about the lost tribes, secrets that could completely change what we know about biblical history? The book of Daniel reveals visions of kingdoms rising and falling, with Persia playing a dominant role before being overtaken by other empires. But hidden within these visions are clues about a final confrontation involving descendants of the Black Israelites. Could Daniel's coded messages be pointing us toward an end-times conflict centered around Iran? Modern geopolitics and ancient prophecy are colliding. Iran's growing influence in the Middle East has alarmed Israel and its allies. But what few people realize is how deeply the fate of the Black Israelites may be tied to these rising tensions. Could today's headlines be aligning perfectly with thousands-year-old biblical predictions? Prophets like Jeremiah warn of nations rising from the north and east to test Israel's faithfulness. Iran's ancient identity as Persia places it directly within this prophetic path. For the Black Israelites, these warnings hold deep significance. They may reveal where God's protection will fall and which nations will rise against them. We've reached a critical point in this mystery. If the prophecies are true, Iran could play a dual role, both as an opponent of Israel and as an unexpected key to revealing the lost heritage of the Black Israelites. But how will this unfold? And are we closer to fulfillment of these ancient warnings than anyone realizes? Prophecy warns of a time when Israel will be surrounded by hostile nations, but one name stands out: Iran, historically known as Persia. Could this ancient land hold the key to unlocking God's plan for the end times? Ezekiel 38 mentions a powerful northern alliance rising against God's chosen people. And guess what? Modern Iran matches this description perfectly. The question is, are we witnessing the beginning of that prophecy right now? The Bible speaks of Magog, Meshech, and Persia joining forces in the last days. Many scholars believe this refers to a military alliance involving Iran, Russia, and other nations in the Middle East. Could today's headlines already be fulfilling this ancient warning? The Black Israelites believe these events are no coincidence. They see them as a direct sign that God's hand is moving. Are we closer than we think to the final showdown? Iran's growing influence in the Middle East has shaken global politics. But biblically, this isn't random. It's divine setup. Isaiah prophesied that nations would rise and fall, but Persia's role in the last days is unique. The Black Israelites claim that Iran's boldness is part of God's plan to reveal the true identity of his people. If that's true, then everything happening today is bigger than politics. It's prophecy unfolding in real time. Could Iran unknowingly play a role in restoring the Black Israelites' destiny? According to Deuteronomy 30, God promised to gather his scattered people from the nations. Some believe Iran's actions could trigger the sequence of events leading to that gathering. But others warn this could ignite the largest war the Middle East has ever seen, a war prophesied thousands of years ago. In Ezekiel's prophecy, Persia's role isn't just military, it's spiritual. God says he will use these nations to display his power to the entire world. Could Iran's current rise be the very catalyst God foretold? The Black Israelites see this as a wake-up call, a divine signal that the final chapter of humanity is approaching. The real question is, are we prepared for what comes next? Jeremiah warned that destruction would come from the north, and many believe this aligns with Iran's growing alliances. Could this be the army of nations preparing for the great battle of Armageddon? The Black Israelites argue that the world has underestimated the spiritual dimension of Iran's rise. This isn't just geopolitics. This is divine orchestration at the highest level. Iran's involvement isn't isolated. Other nations are joining forces, creating a prophecy-driven storm. Could we be witnessing the early stages of the Gog and Magog war described in Revelation? If the Black Israelites are right, then these alliances mark the countdown to a world-changing event, one where God himself will intervene to defend his chosen people. What most people don't know is that the Bible also hints at divine judgment for nations that rise against Israel. Could Iran be stepping into a role it cannot escape? The Black Israelites interpret this as part of God's vengeance, a fulfillment of Zechariah 14, where nations gather for war but faces direct wrath. If this is true, then the coming conflict won't just be between armies, it'll be between heaven and earth. Prophecy says the world will be divided, some nations for Israel, others against. Iran's position could ignite a global chain reaction unlike anything we've seen before. The Black Israelites believe this is God's way of separating the righteous from the wicked, preparing the stage for his kingdom to be revealed. Are we on the verge of witnessing history's most significant turning point? One thing is clear: the stage is being set for something massive. Iran's rise, Israel's warnings, and biblical prophecy are colliding like never before. The Black Israelites believe these events are not random. They are God's final call to awaken his people. The signs are everywhere, but will the world listen before it's too late? Prophecies hidden within the Bible suggest a coming clash between powers we least expect, and Iran plays a pivotal role. The book of Ezekiel, chapter 38, speaks of a great coalition from the east, led by Persia, modern-day Iran, joining forces with other nations against Israel. But what's more shocking is that ancient Black Israelite tribes, scattered across the world, are prophesied to be caught in the middle of this chaos. Will Iran's actions trigger the next phase of biblical prophecy? And what does this mean for the descendants of the lost tribes? The clues are hidden in plain sight. The Bible foretells a massive gathering of nations against Israel, and Iran's role cannot be underestimated. Isaiah 13 speaks of a mighty nation from the east rising in the end times, a description scholars link to ancient Persia. But here's the twist. Historians believe the Black Israelites, descendants of Jacob's lost tribes, are tied to these prophecies in ways hidden for centuries. Could it be that Iran's moves will decide the fate of millions across Africa, the Middle East, and beyond? The clock on prophecy seems to be ticking faster than ever. Jeremiah 49 speaks directly of Elam, the ancient land that corresponds to modern-day Iran. The prophecy warns of a time when God will break the bow of Elam, shattering its power before the nations. But how does this connect to the Black Israelites? Some theologians suggest that scattered Israelites, especially those from African lineages, will play an unexpected role in the unfolding events between Iran and Israel. Could we be approaching the moment when forgotten tribes finally take center stage? The Bible's clues are pointing in that direction, and history might be repeating itself. The hidden connection between the Black Israelites and Iran becomes even clearer in Ezekiel's vision of Gog and Magog. Persia, today's Iran, is listed as a key player in a massive war against Israel. Scholars debate when this will happen, but one thing is certain. The pieces are moving rapidly. Many believe the lost tribes, including Black Israelites scattered in Africa, the Americas, and the Caribbean, will witness events that shake the world. Could we be standing at the edge of a prophetic storm? Isaiah warns of a day of vengeance and a year of recompense, where nations rise and fall according to God's plan. Iran's growing influence in the Middle East, combined with shifting global alliances, matches these ancient descriptions eerily well. But here's what shocks most people. Many believe the Black Israelites, descendants of Jacob's scattered tribes, hold prophetic identity critical to understanding who God's covenant truly applies to. Could Iran's movements be the key to unlocking this mystery? The book of Daniel describes kings from the north and south clashing in a final confrontation before the end of days. Many scholars link these kings to modern global powers, and Iran appears to be right at the heart of it. Meanwhile, the Black Israelites, long forgotten and scattered, are beginning to rediscover their biblical identity. Could this awakening be happening just as Iran prepares for a historic role in prophecy? The overlap is too precise to ignore. Every sign points to an approaching global shift unlike anything we've seen. Revelation 16 speaks of a moment when the kings of the East march toward Israel for the ultimate showdown. Many see Iran as one of those kings, preparing for a prophetic destiny foretold thousands of years ago. At the same time, the return of the lost tribes, including the Black Israelites, is expected to reshape the world's understanding of God's promises. Could the clash between Iran and Israel mark the beginning of that restoration? The puzzle pieces are finally coming together. Many experts believe Iran's rise isn't just political, it's deeply spiritual. Isaiah 45 describes Cyrus, the Persian king, as God's anointed, used to fulfill divine purposes. If ancient Persia served God's plan once, could modern Iran be part of a new prophetic timeline? And if so, how do the Black Israelites fit into this picture? These descendants of Jacob's covenant may play a role in witnessing and surviving what's about to unfold. What happens next might shake the faith of billions worldwide. The stage is set. Israel, Iran, and the scattered tribes are at the heart of a prophecy thousands of years in the making. Ezekiel's warnings, Isaiah's visions, and Revelation's mysteries all converge on one outcome, a coming global reckoning. For the Black Israelites, this moment could be both a return and a test, a chance to reclaim their identity and faith while the nations rage around them. The question is, are we prepared for what's about to happen? The final pieces of prophecy are falling into place, and Iran's role may trigger events no one expects. The Bible speaks of a gathering of nations, a shaking of kingdoms, and a revealing of God's chosen people, including the Black Israelites. As history accelerates toward its climax, every headline and every conflict brings us closer to fulfillment of these ancient words. Are we standing on the edge of a prophetic explosion? All signs say yes. In Matthew 24, Jesus warns of wars and rumors of wars, of nations rising against nations. Today, Iran's growing power and its alliances are raising global tensions like never before. But what most don't realize is that this isn't just politics, it's prophecy unfolding. The Black Israelites, scattered for centuries, are at the center of God's covenant promises, and their awakening signals something monumental on the horizon. Could Iran's next move ignite the beginning of the final chapter? Joel 3 speaks of a time when God gathers all nations into the valley of decision for judgment. Some scholars believe Iran will be one of the leading nations in this assembly, fulfilling ancient prophecy. Meanwhile, the Black Israelites' reemergence reveals an identity long hidden from history. Could these two events, Iran's rise and the tribe's awakening, be happening together for a divine purpose? If so, we are living in the most prophetic generation in history. The book of Zechariah warns that Jerusalem will become a cup of trembling for all nations, and Iran's involvement makes this prophecy more real than ever. As tensions rise, the Black Israelites' forgotten heritage and prophetic significance come to the surface. Could this confrontation be the event that forces the world to recognize God's covenant people? The answer may redefine history as we know it. Habakkuk 1 describes a bitter and hasty nation that rises to conquer. Many connect this prophecy to Persia's ancient legacy and Iran's growing power today. But there's a deeper layer. The Black Israelites, scattered by conquest and forgotten by history, are being restored at the exact same time. Is this timing random, or are we watching God's perfect plan unfold step by step? Every sign points to something divine. In Revelation 7, we read of the sealing of God's chosen tribes. 12 tribes, including the descendants of Jacob, protected in the last days. Many scholars now believe that some of these sealed tribes include Black Israelites. If Iran's movements bring the world to the brink of biblical war, could the sealing begin soon? The Bible seems to hint that the time is closer than we think. The prophecies of Isaiah, Ezekiel, and Revelation converge on one undeniable truth. Iran, Israel, and the scattered tribes, especially the Black Israelites, are central to God's unfolding plan. Every conflict, every alliance, every move on the global stage is setting the world up for a climactic moment the prophets foresaw thousands of years ago. The question is not if, but when. Are you prepared for what's coming? Because when it happens, it will change everything.